Hey, if it's 7:30 on Monday, it must be another time for life lessons. Coach Troy Taylor over there. I'm Johnny Bottles. We are just hanging out, talking about what we're going to talk about. What's a good life lesson for today? Well, it's Monday, Coach. Let's get it.
Let's get it. Coach Bald. I don't know how many people know. Johnny, are you aware of what happened to Coach Bald?
What happened to Coach Bald? Something happened this weekend?
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Coach Bald tore his bicep. So now he has one small bicep and one huge bicep. Moving a refrigerator. So the life lesson is, even though if you're diesel and jacked, like Coach Bald, don't move a fridge. All right? Because you could get hurt. Now, Coach Bald is going through it. He's in a tremendous amount of pain. Hopefully, he will be back tomorrow. Coach Bald, we love you. Johnny Bottles, are you surprised that Coach Bald has ripped his bicep into two?
I'm a little surprised by that because he does work out every day. He's a man who's in great shape. And it must have been a very, very heavy refrigerator. Was he trying to move it by himself?
I don't believe so. I don't know the entire story. But Coach Bald, we're praying for you. Hopefully you will be back on Life Lessons tomorrow. Monday, let's get it.
Gotcha.
So over the weekend, Johnny, we had the SCM podcast. How did that go? Update us on the podcast and pro wrestling over this weekend. Was there any events or anything?
No events, no pay-per-views, nothing of that nature. Just an average weekend, regular TV shows, and that was it. Podcast went well. We sat down and chopped everything up that happened over the last week and a half. Some things we could have talked about a little longer, but we went an hour and a half. It was a long podcast, but I think we did well.
And we had Zach and Lucky.
The Zach and Lucky show. I saw that.
Zach and Lucky came on and talked about NFL football, pro football. Mr. Big's supposed to come on. He's only going to do 5 podcasts this week. He's limiting himself. All right.
Just 5.
And did you see the woman supposedly from the plane came out, and somebody at Totem Pole Nation, we are a very large conglomerate corporation of people, wanted to know, how did the lady on the plane go from Jennifer Aniston to Jennifer Lopez? What is going on, Johnny Bottles? Mr. Big's going to need to comment on this. He's our resident UFO, all things paranormal and weird expert. But what is the Johnny Bottles opinion on this?
My opinion is the video that people have been posting, I guess it's a TikTok video of her coming out and saying, her side of the story or what happened. Or I really didn't make it all the way through the video because it's apparent. It's apparent. If you've seen the picture of this woman from her LinkedIn profile generally sit on the internet for a tremendous long amount of time. People don't update their LinkedIn profiles. It's a rarity when they do. But this woman's not that old. She's only like 35, 37 years old. And her name is Tiffany Gomez. It's like Gomez with an A instead of an E in the last syllable of the word. She doesn't look anything like that video that was released. It looked like an AI creation, a deep fake, call it what you will. It looked like BS to me.
Hold on. So you're telling me that, if they have these Snapchat filters that can make Johnny Bottles look like a baby.
Right.
There are rumors going around that there's filters that can actually make you look like Britney Spears, Jamie Foxx.
Of course.
I totally agree.
Of course.
So you're right. Could it be an AI filter that has made this lady look like that? Because when I saw the original, I thought Jennifer Aniston.
Yes.
Then when I saw this version, I thought Jennifer Lopez.
I think, Coach, a lot of people might not be familiar with who we're talking about. We're talking about the viral video, the lady in the viral video who was aboard an airplane. The name of the airline escapes me, but that's neither here nor there. It was irrelevant. It could have happened on any plane. She had a couple drinks in the lounge of the airport waiting for her flight. She got on the plane to go back home to Texas, and someone stole her Apple AirPods. It might have been a family member that she was flying with or traveling with, who was sitting on a different area of the plane, and she was seated in the back next to a gentleman who had on a hoodie, and apparently he glitched, meaning he, if you believe in the supernatural or aliens, he glitched and showed his true form to this woman who was sitting next to him. The woman who got up out of her seat and ran to the front of the plane and said she's getting off this plane. She's got to get out of here. That MFer back there is not real. That's the famous line she used. That MFer back there is not real. I don't know what he is or who he is, but if you all want to die with him, that's fine. But I'm getting the hell out of here, is basically what she said. But the famous line is, to quote her, that MFer back there is not real. So she saw an alien shapeshifter, a supernatural occurrence, a alcohol-induced, a 5-martini-induced hallucination. Who really knows? But she got off the plane. The police were going to come and arrest her for creating a disturbance, but she was totally lucid. She wasn't drunk, they said. They let her go on her own recognizance. The news media was trying to get a hold of her, and it was finally released. Actually, it was released 2 days after it happened, who she was, but not many people picked up on it. It was on Twitter, or the X, if you will. It was all, her name and face was all over Twitter. The LinkedIn profile was all over Twitter 2 days later. But for some reason, it took 3 weeks for the world to know who she was. And now they're camped out in front of her house in Texas. They're going through her mail. Federal offense to tamper with the mail. They're going through her mail and opening it to find out details about her personal life. They're staked outside of her house. They're going through her trash cans, Coach. Can you imagine such a thing? What would they find by going through her trash cans? Who knows? But that's what they were doing to her. She recently came out and talked through her front door to someone. I forgot the name of the reporter. Just one small few sentences she said to a reporter. Just leave me alone. I didn't do anything to anybody. I don't deserve all you guys camped out in front of my house going through all my stuff. Just leave me the hell alone. And now this video emerges 3 days after she made that statement. And all of a sudden, this chick is glammed up like Jennifer Lopez. And she doesn't look anything like Jennifer Lopez in real life. In fact, let me go ahead and pull her up. I'll see if I can find Tiffany.
I mean, she really went from Jennifer Aniston, the mom version.
Yes. She looked like
J-Lo. And people said it's makeup. But you are a pop culture phenom. You're a pop culture. You are our resource.
Yes, sir.
Now, this guy supposedly, his eyes were blinking sideways.
Yes.
And that made me think of the Lizard King, the backdoor man, Jim Morrison. Was Jim Morrison a reptilian? Or did the amount of LSD that he took cause him to be a Lizard King in another dimension? How did he get the name the Lizard King? And was he a reptilian? And how did he get the name? I heard he was a big fan of crunchy peanut butter, and he was known as the backdoor man.
You know a lot about Jim Morrison. So we've gone from the crazy MFer in the back is not real lady to Jim Morrison. I'll roll with that. I'll roll with that. I'll roll with that. He's the Lizard King. Let me ask you a question. If you believe, if there are people out there, here's a hypothetical situation. This is all hypothetically speaking. If there's a lizard, if there's a contingent if there's a contingent of reptilians living among us, space aliens, if you will, that are living among us and are shapeshifters, much like the Skrulls were in the Marvel Universe on Secret Invasion, which is on Disney Plus right now. It's streaming. It's a TV show starring Samuel Jackson, a 6-episode series on Disney Plus about alien shapeshifters, lizard-like in appearance, that live among us. What if that were true? And Jim Morrison happened to be a lizard from another world, a lizard being who could alter his appearance and live among us, and decide he wanted to be a rock musician. What if he wanted to be a rock star? And he lived the life of a rock star, which comes along with all the excesses: drugs and alcohol, fame, fortune, women. And Jim Morrison had a lot of women in his day. What if that were true, hypothetically speaking, if this were to happen, and the space alien accidentally OD'd in a bathtub in France and died, which is how Jim Morrison died? What if that actually happened to a space alien?
I mean, I think it would make for a great life.
It would make for a great TV series.
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch V when I was a kid.
Dude, you and I are on the same wavelength, because when I said TV series, I'm thinking in my head the TV series V, where they lived among us.
Yes, I was like 8 years old, 7 years old. What year was that? The mid-'80s?
1980, 1981. Jane Bader was
wow.
I
was born in 78. So did I watch it in syndication?
You watched it in syndication, yes. Yes, you did. V starred she thought they thought she was going to be the next big thing at the time. Jane Bader, an Amazon of a woman. She was the female leader of the contingent of aliens that arrived on this planet. They would eat. When she appeared as a lizard woman, she would dislocate her lower jaw and eat a live rat. That was a huge scene on the TV show. She was ingesting a live rat. And they thought Jane Bader.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, when you're hungry, you got to do what you got to do. They thought she was going to be the next big star from Hollywood, the next big female star. It never panned out for her. She never did anything after that. It was all direct-to-video movies. But yeah, V, hell of a series. I'm surprised they haven't brought it back, but it probably would hit a little too close to home nowadays. Maybe there are people who actually run this planet who would want that series out on the air.
Now, there's talk of a totem pole production company started. Now, what if we came up with Z? Not V, but Z. See, that's not the same. That's different.
You wouldn't be able to call it Z. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Because it's too similar to the title of World War Z, that zombie movie with Brad Pitt, which they're doing a sequel to right now.
Well, we want to be on the level of like Porky's, or like you said, the Toxic Avenger, straight to video, which means what? Straight to YouTube? What does that mean today? Instead of straight to video, are you straight to YouTube?
Straight to video is DVD and streaming.
Yeah.
Streaming first, and then they release it on DVD.
And do we even have DVDs anymore?
We do have DVDs, Blu-rays, and all that. Blu-rays are more prevalent now. The price has dropped on Blu-rays. It used to be you could get a DVD. You could buy at the store for like $9.99. And the Blu-rays would cost $20 because they're high def, 4K, all these extra features, Ultra HD. But they dropped the price of those also. So streaming media is more affordable than ever right now. I'm not streaming media. Physical media, I should have said, is more affordable than ever. However, most people would rather go to their on-demand channel or their TV set, click on that, and say, hey, what's on now? Oh, that's in the theaters now. I'll watch that. Last Voyage of the Demeter, I'll watch that. Barbie, I'll watch that. Oppenheimer. I got 3 hours to kill. I'll watch that.
Have you seen Oppenheimer? I heard
they say it's good. I've got no desire to see Oppenheimer. I don't buy into the Christopher Nolan as a freaking filmmaking genius, and he's the bestest thing ever.
What movies has he made?
I don't buy all that. Christopher Nolan did Inception.
Never seen it.
That's a movie with DiCaprio about
Dark Knight.
The Dark Knight. He did all the 3 Batman movies with Christopher Bale. Christian Bale. I mean, Christian
Bale.
He did Batman Begins, which was a great movie. The Dark Knight, which was a great movie.
Did he do Batman Returns?
No, he did not. That was Tim Burton from Beetlejuice and Edward Scissorhands. Tim Burton.
See, Coach Hutch, Johnny Bottles, is an actor. And Coach Hutch is here sitting in the studio with me.
I'm just going to say he's probably standing right by you because you keep looking at somebody. Yes.
He's an actor. And did you know, Coach Hutch, that Mr. Big wants to have a casting call?
Yeah.
Yes. Johnny Bottles.
Yes, sir.
Would you be for or against being a part of
What's up, Johnny?
a movie?
What's going on, man? Being part of what?
Being a part of a movie, a totem pole movie. He's saying something about the bimbos versus the bikers. It's all these
In my experience, I've known some bimbos and I've known some bikers, and we'll make that happen.
Would this be a movie that people would want to watch?
Bimbos versus bikers versus zombies in 3D.
In 3D.
In 3D. I don't know.
So
that sounds like
yes.
That sounds like a B movie from the 70s. Bimbos, bikers, and zombies.
That's what we're shooting for. I remember Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Yes.
They do that down in Universal Studios. They actually have a whole thing marked off down in Orlando that you walk through, and it's all the Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and they come over and they scare the crap out of you.
Holy shit. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. My mom freaked out when I took her there.
Good Lord.
Some people are just scared of clowns, period.
Right. They are. I was terrified of clowns when I was a kid.
I had a running back once. He was player of the week, and they asked him, what's one thing you're afraid of in the paper? And he said clowns. And I was like, wow, dude. Like, that's impressive that you're willing to admit that you're afraid of clowns. My favorite clown was Bozo. Bozo the clown.
Mine was Doink.
Doink?
Doink the clown. Yes. Doink the clown.
I also liked Homie Don't... What's the one?
Homie the clown. Homie Don't Play That.
Homie the clown. Homie Don't Play That.
What a character that was, man. That was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. Homie the
Johnny,
clown.
do you think it's possible? Could we make a movie? Get a chair. Yeah. Pull up a chair. We can move it over there, Coach. We're gonna move the studio.
We're gonna see. We're gonna see something other than that blue cinder block wall. Fantastic.
We're gonna see it. We're gonna see another blue cinder block wall.
There's a roof on that place. Good.
Yes, That's it is. And we have a big screen TV right here, right behind us. Look at this.
Nice. Look at that.
Look at us. We're big time.
I'm telling you, it's fantastic.
This is where the first
ever
totem pole was shot, from this couch.
Did you have the cinder block wall on the TV behind you, or did you hang a sheet?
No, we had everything just like this, and we put it off the laptop.
And nice. At one time, we did have a sheet. Yes, we did. And
that blue sheet that said Totem Pole Nation on it.
Yeah, we're going to get that going again here soon, especially as football season is ramping up.
Coach Hutch is a big football guy.
Right.
Are you a football guy, Johnny Bottles?
I'm not a football guy. I used to follow the Ravens. The Ravens were my team. I used to follow them when I was in Baltimore. Redskins to a certain extent, but it was hard to follow the Redskins, man. When you had no. It's like as following the Redskins is like being somebody who's terminally ill, and you're hoping they come up with a cure one day soon for what you've got before you die.
Well, they got a little Band-Aid now with the new owner. So we'll see what happens there.
Right.
But I grew up a Redskins fan, and by about age 9, I remember thinking to myself, why on earth do I like this team? I live in Central Virginia. I'm not close to them. I've never seen them play. And long story short, my association team was red and black, and I turned on the TV, and they had alternate uniforms for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And, I'm going to follow that team.
There you go.
And I've followed them ever since.
I've been down here in Florida since March. I haven't, because football season had started now. But I didn't have anything to go on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, but I'm going to start to get into them now.
Yeah.
With, being down here in Florida, I feel obligated to because I live in the state now. It's great down here, man. It's fantastic. So.
What part are you in?
I'm in Central Florida, by Ocala.
Okay, Ocala. Yeah, I was in Orlando. I kind of bounced around there from, just kind of everywhere from Metro West to over where UCF is. Trying to think. I mean, I moved like 7 times when I was in there. So.
Wow. Well, Florida's a big state, man. I never realized the size of it, but it's
Yeah,
huge.
it's something like 11 hours from Miami if you go all the way up to the Panhandle, something like that.
It could very well be, yeah, because I'm in Central Florida, and Orlando is like an hour and 40 minutes away from me. So,
Yeah.
and Coach Ball down in St. Petersburg is 2 hours away from me. So, it might not be 11.
I-4 corridor too, like you might make it in good time, 50 minutes, something like that. And other days you might make it in 2.5 hours.
Right. I found that out taking the wife to the airport because the wife, she flies back up from time to time for special occasions and all that. So yeah, you really get stuck in traffic going into Orlando. My speaking of Universal, my daughter and son-in-law and grandkids are all down at Disney, and they're going to hit Universal like right around Wednesday. So I'll tell them to look out for the killer clowns from outer space.
Yeah, they only do that on Halloween Horror Nights. But
okay.
I'm a big horror fan.
Yes.
And the reason I am, like, nothing scares me. I don't get scared of any scary movies. And I've been searching for the movie that actually will frighten me. Now, I've seen, like, movies that make your stomach turn, you know, The Hills Have Eyes, you know, but they're more like gory and stuff like that. They're not scary. And I want to be scared. I want to go to bed thinking, like, man, something's out to get me.
Well, there's some people you can talk to who can create some things.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, and bring some spirits, aka demons.
Yes.
That they can scare you. Okay,
Well, bring it on. I've
Well,
asked to go to haunted houses and everything, every one of those experiences.
I have a
Bring
guy
it
that
on.
you need to do a podcast
I
with.
will
And he can
live
summon
stream the whole thing.
He can summon some spirits.
We have a man from Racine, Wisconsin, who's sitting in a 115-year-old house right now, a mansion by the highway, by the interstate, just waiting to do a seance to bring back Richard Speck or Sammy Gravano or who else? Sam Giancana, Marlon Brando,
Since we do not like
Tony Soprano. He's dead. Don't bring him back too.
we can bring him back. Was Tony Soprano really a gangster, or was he just an actor?
He's just an actor. He was a actor. What they did with that show is they hired people who weren't famous because they didn't want to pay the exorbitant salaries. But the show took off, and after a year or two, you know, when contracts came up, because some of these people were on short-term deals, when the contracts came up and the ratings were so hot, everybody was talking about The Sopranos and the mafia life and all that other BS that was going on at the time. They said, yeah, we want a little more money. And Paulie Walnuts, the guy who played Paulie Walnuts, Tony Sirico, he was just like that in real life. And he had mob ties, and he wasn't a guy you wanted to mess with. If Paulie Walnuts asked you for a raise in real life, you're giving Paulie Walnuts a raise. He was great, man. That guy was fantastic. My favorite character, TV character of all time, was Paulie Walnuts from The Sopranos.
Yeah, I can't say who my favorite character on that show is because I'm a school teacher.
Oh, okay. I got you. You got to watch yourself when you're a school teacher.
Yeah,
you can't.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. You can't take pictures of.
Sorry.
You can't take any pictures of women you're with and send them to the kids or anything like that. Like
that
somebody.
Is very, very true.
I've heard stories.
Would we be able to have totem pole wrestling? Since AEW is awful, is there any way? Because I think you would be an excellent bookie. I think you would be excellent at writing the script. Motorhead, Don Wayne, and Johnny Bottles.
Don Wayne would be the Vince McMahon of totem pole wrestling. He would be the on-air authority figure. And he would lose his mind and scream every week during totem pole wrestling. No, you could actually. It doesn't take anything really. You got to have a ring. That's the hardest part. You've got
10 to 20 grand for a decent ring.
Right. You got to own a wrestling ring and be able to transport it to different halls and high school gyms. You guys are in high school gyms.
But could we just do it? Could we do it via the internet and not just to start off, like not actually travel around?
If you had a decent camera, yeah. You could just have one camera and cover it that way.
Man.
And just tell the guys, don't go out of the range of the camera. There won't be any close-ups. Don't bother playing to the camera. Play to the crowd, and just you have a small crowd there. Charge them a head, a cover charge.
Well,
And,
a guy that I want to put a mask on
is who?
and make him into a wrestler is Lambo.
Lambo.
How
Be perfect.
far could Lambo fall without how far was it that Owen Hart fell when he died?
Owen Hart fell
limit?
he fell almost 80 feet, I believe.
Okay.
And the
Lambo's good for 70 feet.
He landed on the turnbuckle.
Oh my God.
The worst part about that.
Chest
Lambo's
first
good
on
for
the
70
turnbuckle. Yeah, the impact separated his aorta from his heart. One of his aortas. And what a way to go, man.
The Ring does real good whole hour, 2-hour show, I want to say, about
Yeah, it was.
the whole situation and talking to his wife and everything like that.
It was, yeah.
The crazy thing to me is they never stopped the show. They never stopped it. They cleaned it up and they brought out the next two guys.
Was Bret Hart there?
No, he wasn't there. He was in WCW at the time, I believe.
Wow. And
that
Bret
happened.
Hart's parents were involved in the industry, in the business?
His parents?
Yeah.
His parents owned Calgary Stampede Wrestling in Canada, one of the territories that Vince bought out. Stu and Helen Hart owned that territory. Stu Hart was a famous shoot wrestler. He could really take you down and
What does that
work
mean
you.
when you say shoot wrestler? Because I hear that shoot interview. What does that mean?
Shoot means for real. That's just
so when they do a
it's
interview, it's supposed to be real?
It's a carny term, a carnival term for real. So a shoot wrestler, Kurt Angle, Gable Steveson now is a new guy they have at NXT. He's an Olympic wrestler, Olympic athlete. Someone who's a shooter. Those guys can take you down and twist you up and break your bones and separate your sacroiliac from your vertebrae and dislocate a shoulder and all that other horse shit. They can do all that.
I have two former players.
Yes.
One from Amelia and one from Meadowbrook who were pro wrestlers. One guy actually made it to TV.
Okay.
All right. He was he's a black guy. He's and his name was Sir something. He had an English name.
Mm-hmm.
But his real name is Charles Taylor, I believe, from Amelia. And then
Sure.
another guy was Hispanic. But I don't think the one guy made it to TV. I don't think it was NXT or something. But those guys could be a part of Totem Pole Wrestling. What role would you want to have? Would you want to be behind the scenes? I think you would be a great, like Jim Ross. You would be great, be the announcer.
I'd be the Mel Kiper of Totem Pole Wrestling.
The Mel Kiper.
I don't fucking know.
We could do it. There are some organizations here in Central Virginia, though, we'd be competing with.
No, but we don't need to compete.
It doesn't matter. It's automatic. As soon as you pull up a ring and as soon as you have an event, you are competition.
Yes.
Yeah, but we could give the coverage for them. And why does that have to be competition? We're partnering. Totem Pole Nation is partnering with their organization. Would that be something that you would be interested in, or you just want to watch and be a fan, or do you actually want to be a part of the business?
I really don't want to watch, and I don't want to be a fan. No, I'm just kidding. I'm down here in Florida. I can't participate in that.
Well,
You
we
guys are in
can do it
Virginia.
via satellite. You can announce whatever through the internet. We can put you in a little corner of the screen.
While you're down there, you should definitely check out Team Vision Dojo. It's over there by the airport in Orlando, and that's actually where I trained at. It's Razor Ramon's gym, and they put on some great shows.
Is he still alive?
No,
Razor Ramon's gone. Team Vision Dojo sounds familiar to me. It does. That sounds like it's who else runs that?
Chase and Rance is the head trainer.
Right. There you go. Okay. I knew I've heard that name somewhere before. Team Vision Dojo. Okay. Larry Zbyszko at one point in time was hooked up with that too. Because Chase and Rance was living with him.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like Larry Zbyszko. He had the black trunks.
Always.
What was he like a Chuck Norris type figure? He was supposed to be in the martial arts?
Larry Zbyszko, he just pretended he was in the martial arts. That's all. He was a guy who was he was a protege of Bruno Sammartino, and they had that famous match that drew I don't know. If you listen to Vince, it was 120,000 people. I don't know.
He wasn't a good body guy. I mean, he was old school.
He was barrel-chested. He was sort of built like those old guys from the 60s and the early 70s. Like the Crusher and the Bruiser. He was he's a short guy, Zbyszko was. But he could talk. And he could talk and he could talk. And he made that feud with Bruno Sammartino. And all eyes were on Larry Zbyszko at the time. And eventually Larry became a heel in the WWF. He was a babyface at the time, as they say, a good guy, until he feuded with Bruno. And then he moved on to the AWA, where he married Vern Gagne's daughter. Vern Gagne was the guy who owned the AWA. Yeah, and he was the lead heel. When all these guys were leaving to go to Vince, Larry Zbyszko stayed there and was the lead heel in the AWA. Famous match where he was wrestling Nick Bockwinkel, I believe. And Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, hit Bockwinkel with a row of quarters and left the quarters laying in the ring. And everyone saw what happened. But, yeah, he was Larry came up with some good stuff. He booked a lot of his own angles at the time. Then he went to WCW. He had a nice run over there. And that's all about, you make lemonade out of lemons. When life hands you lemons, you make lemonade. So when he got fired from one place, he went on to another and had a great run in WCW and stayed on. He stayed on. He wasn't an active wrestler anymore. He became a commentator. He would come out from time to time. I think he wrestled in one of his last matches, Razor Ramon. I'm talking last matches televised. He would go and do indie shows where it'd be a lot of talking. He'd get in the ring and do 2 or 3 moves and knock the guy out and pin him, and that would be it. But Larry's too old now. He doesn't do the indies anymore. I think he's 80. He's been around a long time.
Would you be willing to interview Larry Zbyszko?
I would love to interview Larry Zbyszko, but a lot of these guys nowadays have no source of income except for their investments, and if they've had any at all, and Social Security, if they paid into Social Security. A lot of guys never did. They never set the money on the side. Nah. You had to be your own accountant back then and set the money on the side to pay into Social Security and all that stuff, fill out a form. But I would love to interview Larry, but a lot of these guys nowadays want to be paid to appear. We try to get ECW referee and WCW referee Bill Afonso. In fact, he was even in the WWF as a referee. Yeah.
How much did he want?
He won like $150.
Wow. For what, 30 minutes?
And, for like an hour. And he also wanted weed. He wanted to be paid in weed also. And Motorhead said, that's okay, pal. No thanks.
See Cheech and Chong.
Yes, see Cheech and Chong.
See Snoop Dogg, see Mike Tyson. All right, but they won't want to talk to him.
Well, Tyson would talk to Larry Zbyszko, and so would Snoop Dogg. They're big-time wrestling fans. So
Zbyszko's the one that wants the weed?
No.
I watched this interview with this girl and Drake. Like, she's done 4 podcasts, dude.
We're on Drake now? Okay, I'll go with that.
Drake on her 4th podcast.
Okay.
Like, and she just says stupid stuff. She's very, very smart, but she says stupid stuff. She makes the person feel uncomfortable. I'm like thinking to myself, come on, man. Like, she didn't know who Drake was. She knew none of his songs. I mean, have you heard of this girl?
I barely heard of Drake.
Okay, well, this girl has
no, I know who
Drake
is.
Podcasts.
I know who Drake is, yeah.
She's done 4 podcasts, and she got to Drake on the 4th podcast. All right, I might need to talk to Mr. Big. There must be some blood ritual because this is impossible. How do you get to Drake on your 4th podcast?
I don't know. It's pretty fascinating how that worked out.
Yeah.
You know a guy who knows a guy.
And all she does is that. Yep. It could be like that lady you told me about how she worked her way up, Johnny Bottles. You know who I'm talking about. The woman that worked her way up.
The woman that...
I don't want to say her name. I don't want to say her name, but you know who I'm talking about.
What industry is she in? What circles does she run in?
There's only 2 professions that you never have to be right. One of them is a weatherman, and the other one
is a commentator.
A
politician, yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Are we talking about Kamala Harris here?
I don't even know who she is.
You don't know who Kamala Harris is?
No, who is she?
Kamala Harris, the Ugandan giant from the WWF.
I remember the Ugandan giant. I remember him.
The funny thing is, his act name was Kamala, and his real last name was Harris. So you could say that guy was Kamala Harris.
Wow. Are they related?
No, they're not related. No. Kamala Harris is the VP of the United States, folks, if you were living under a rock for the last 3 years under this military regime that we're living under right now. Kamala Harris is second in command. What?
How would you know?
How would I know what?
That she's the vice president.
It's the toughest presidency to know that, I would say, in my lifetime.
See, I like vice presidents.
How would I know? She is so incompetent and so brain dead that they won't trust her anymore with going out in public and speaking.
Yeah.
She does all these feel good, let's improve reading skills for our children and these type of things. They won't let her do any.
Wet. No, let me rephrase that.
See,
water is really wet.
Yeah, exactly.
I like vice presidents that actually want to be the president, like Dick Cheney. Dick Cheney was the president. People didn't know this, but actually Dick Cheney's wife was the real president. All right.
The Cheneys did run the country. George W. Bush was just a figurehead. He was a happy-go-lucky, slack-jawed yokel who he gave the Andy Taylor of Mayberry vibe.
I need that vibe.
You need that vibe right now. Is that what it is? Okay.
I need that vibe. I need that George W. Bush vibe.
Sure. Yeah.
I need you to be my vice. I need you to be my vice.
That's a great movie, by the way, Vice.
That's Batman was in that movie.
Yeah, he was Dick Cheney.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Well, Johnny Bottles,
Mm-hmm.
as always, you two guys actually, y'all are the resident educated people that are a part of Totem Pole Nation. Your IQs are above 100, which is not customary here. I mean, we got people that don't even know there's not been a World War III.
Hey,
yeah.
Real quick question, just to confirm that, Johnny Bottles, who was president of the Union during the American Civil War? I can make it easier and just say who was president of the United States during the American Civil War.
Right. Lincoln.
Yes.
John F. Kennedy.
Yes.
That's what the guy said. John F. Kennedy.
Right.
So I just want to confirm, and that you have confirmed that.
Yeah, he's actually smart.
Yes.
It
is Lincoln, but I was thinking that did two presidencies butt up against one another during the Civil War? Was there a change?
Lincoln was the president.
Lincoln was the guy. Then after Lincoln, was it Grant or was it Grant before the Civil War?
It was
Jackson, and then Lincoln.
Which Jackson?
Andrew. No, Johnson. Andrew Johnson. Sorry. I always get it confused. Andrew Johnson. Yeah.
Andrew Johnson. He got impeached and convicted.
Right. Both presidents got assassinated. Johnson followed.
Wow. And both of them, Lincoln's secretary was Kennedy, and Kennedy's secretary was Lincoln.
That's pretty weird. That's very weird. Is that true? I think I've heard that somewhere before.
Yeah, there's all these different, similarities between the two.
Sure.
Things. Some of them are real, some of them are not.
Was Lincoln a dictator? Was Lincoln a dictator? Some people have portrayed Lincoln as being a dictator when he was president. His way or the highway, that was it.
Yeah, we could go in a long discussion about Lincoln.
Where we got to go?
We got work.
We got to go.
That's it.
Shout out our sponsors, Johnny Bottles.
Cultivate Wellness, folks, for all your CBD needs. Go to cultivatewellness.com. Any minor aches and pains, any feelings of anxiety, the CBD products that they sell, tinctures. Did I pronounce that the right way, Coach? Tinctures. You put a drop or two under your tongue. You've got the gummies. You've got the creams you can rub into your joints for any aches and pains. The analgesics. If you smell bad, grab the Coach Ball. It will heal a torn bicep.
Coach Ball needs to go see Cultivate Wellness.
Right.
Muscle rub we can send down to him.
Coach Ball.
That's it.
How does that look?
Look at him.
I finally got bigger than Kyle.
Tough as nails. Tough as
And it
nails.
didn't take Roy's. Ugh.
Double T. Tough as nails. Troy Taylor. Go to, folks, go to St. Pete's Rejuvenate if you're in the St. Petersburg, Florida area. Dip into St. Pete's Rejuvenate. You just may see the mayor of St. Petersburg Coast working the counter at St. Pete's Rejuvenate. If you're feeling anxious, if you have aches and pains, well, you can. Well, you're all hopped up on CBD from Cultivate Wellness. Stop into St. Pete's Rejuvenate. You'll be relaxed. They'll inject you with ketamine infusion therapy.
Sarah Blake Cheek lost 25 pounds.
Ozempic.
Ozempic.
There's one out there now too.
I have a coach standing here, the real deal, Coach Neal.
Disrespectful energy.
He's a big fan of Sarah Blake Cheek.
Sarah Blake Cheek.
He's wonderful.
She is. She is. It's a little nugget of goodness that God's dropped upon us that you can just go and look at on Twitter. Follow Sarah Blake Cheek on Twitter.
Indeed.
Yes.
Doc Wells, it's been a pleasure talking to you this morning.
Sarah Blake Cheek, for all your masturbatory needs, go to Sarah Blake Cheek on Twitter.
You're 8 a.m. on the East Coast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. All right, guys.
See you, brother.
Right,
Have a good one now.
You're the best.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, thumbs up, thumbs down. No thumbs down, folks. Give us a thumbs up.
We love it all, though. We love it all.
And please subscribe. We need the money. Thank you.